It's time for the Hockey Writers Grindline, a weekly show covering everything Detroit Red Wings. Brought to you by our own iconic top line of Wings writers. Sit back and enjoy The Grind.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Grind Line here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, I'm joined in by my line mates, Devin Little and Devin Sabourin. Guys, we're at midseason now. Pretty hard to believe, though, because it just seems like the season just started, but we're halfway through, and we're only a few weeks away from the All-Star break, which is I guess the unofficial halfway point of the season, even though right now we're pretty much at halfway point according to games. But when you get to the All-Star break, you're kind of feeling that right after that, you're just thinking about the playoffs and hopefully making them. But Devin, how's it going?
You know, it's going pretty good. We're getting our first real snowfall of the year here in Michigan now. We're actually getting pummeled. So excited to be indoors and not freeze outside. We'll see what the rest of the weather or what the rest of the weekend has in store for us in terms of that. Hopefully you guys are experiencing warmer or at least more mild climate than I am right now. And there actually hasn't been a whole lot of hockey this week to talk about, just a couple of games. So it's been a relatively uneventful week for Devin. How about you guys?
Well, it's pretty cool. I got minus 16 right now. I mean, it's pretty cold. But it's only for a couple days, then we're going back up to like 9 degrees. So it's a little bit of a weird stretch here. But Evan, how's it going?
Yeah, it's cold out here too, man. Even in LA, it drops down to the 30s at night. So I don't know if that's bad or not, but yeah, it's been getting a little cold here. So no snow though,
all cold.
I don't miss. But
we're all cold.
Yeah.
But we're all cold. Inside, so that's good.
It is January.
Right. But yeah, we're like I said, we're at mid-season and the Red Wings are middling, I guess. Mid-season, they're middling. They're not really good. They're not really bad. They're more in that middle ground. But you know, it's been a okay season for the team, and we'll talk about quite a bit. This is probably our mid-season episode. We're doing a review of the first half of the season. But before we get there, got to remind you of our Substack here at the Hockey Writers. Great newsletter you get to your inbox three times a week. That's the free version. We also have a premium version too. You get game day previews, prospect reports, a whole bunch of other stuff. So check that out in the link below. All right, well, we're going to do one good, one bad, as we always start our show. But this time it's not going to be from the past week. It's going to be from the season so far. So, Devin, I'll start with you. What's a good and a bad from the season right now?
I'm going to keep it focused on one player. My one good is going to be Alex Lyon, seemingly claiming the number one spot in Detroit. Good on him. He's played very well, especially pretty much since they got back from Sweden, and then he got back from his individual injury. He's been very reliable for the Red Wings. And then my one bad is that it took a month for us to see him play a game for the Red Wings. In hindsight, it's actually kind of preposterous to say that, considering he's very clearly the best guy they have right now in terms of goalies. So, good on him for taking his opportunity when he got it. But man, it took way too long for him to get that opportunity.
Yeah, we talked about it for a month.
Yeah,
when is Alex Lyon going to get a game? Yeah, it finally does.
To our show,
Yeah.
Right. All right, Evan.
If they just listened to us earlier.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it seems like they may have maybe been in a better position in the standings if they would have done that, but who knows? So Evan, over to you. A good and a bad from the season so far.
Oh man, it's really hard to see a good right now. I mean, even after coming off this West Coast trip, getting the 6 points, I'm going to start with my bad first, and my bad is the defense. It's just not progressing the way it should be, and the way we're getting outshot, and we'll get to that later. It's not sustainable. Alex Lyon can't face 47 shots like he did last night and expect. I mean, the fact that the Red Wings even stole a point out of that is astounding. The good is, I mean, at least we're talking about the playoffs at this
Yeah.
point in the season.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't say that this team is a playoff team right now. I'm not optimistic after watching, after going through December and now the start of January. Even though we started those 3 wins, they weren't pretty wins. They're wins, but the defensive struggles have got to be addressed. And I don't know if that comes through the trade deadline or that they wait to the offseason for free agency, but something has to give because when I read off the numbers later, you'll understand more that this is a continuing problem. I'd get my broken record up, but the broken record's even a broken record. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I'll go off of it. The defense and the goaltending is my bad for sure. From the season, I mean, Alex Lyon's good now, but from the beginning of the season till now, it's been very up and down and mostly down. I mean, Lyon's kind of brought it back up a bit, but and then the defense doesn't help the goaltending at all when you're allowing that many shots. So that's bad. My good is Alex DeBrincat is seamless transition into the Red Wings lineup and coming over from the Ottawa Senators and just seemed like this is his home and he's leading the team in scoring, which I guess maybe we expected at the beginning of the season, but how he's just come in, just produced right away is a big positive, and especially when he's on a little bit, he's on a pretty big contract as well. So hopefully that continues, but that's a definite good in my books that he comes in and just is a dominant player right off the bat. Okay, well, we'll continue this and we'll go into our takeaways from the first half. I'll start with you, Evan, on this. Thoughts, takeaways from this first half of the season. You can go a little bit more of a deep dive rather than just the good and the bad here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wanted to get to some numbers today just to support what I'm saying. And sometimes when I see these numbers, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, again, the amount of shots we're giving up is just killing us. It's the last 5 games alone are just the same thing that we've been seeing for the past 2 months. Outshot 47-17 last night in Edmonton. Anaheim outshot us 31-28. Kings outshot us 43-27. The only team we've outshot in the past 2 weeks are the San Jose Sharks, who we outshot 31-27. It's really frustrating to see how bad this team is struggling defensively because they're, offensively, they're scoring. We're averaging 3.51 goals per game, which is 7th best in the league. But Wings have given up 139 goals in 41 games, and that's the 7th worst in the league. Yeah. That's behind teams like Ottawa, Buffalo, San Jose, bottom feeders. So it's just really frustrating to watch because they're starting to even out. And they're not. It's not a acceptable pace to play at if you want to make the playoffs. And so that's the biggest thing that this is going to have to be addressed. And we've talked about Edvinsson all year, but that he's not going to come up and save this team. I think he would help, and I'd definitely like to see him. But I definitely think if I was Steve Yzerman, I would be looking at the trade deadline for a more complete defensive defenseman. I think they thought maybe we'd see that in Hall, maybe a change of scenery would help. I don't see it. But this team just continues to struggle. And Alex Lyons, is standing on his head for us right now, but you can't see that more. He's seeing more rubber than the Trojan man, and it's just it can't keep like this every night, And Husso's going to come back and be our number 2 goalie. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where they are because they got a tough stretch coming up in this next month. It could get ugly fast. And I would like to see maybe Yzerman see what he could do to improve the team at the trade deadline. But I think these next couple of weeks is really going to let us know if he plans to make a move, because if we start falling, then, it might be time to sell off some players, which I'm not hoping that doesn't happen, but it's starting to look like it could.
Yeah, these next few weeks are going to be key for the Red Wings to see what happens because, yeah, there are going to be some decisions that have to be made for sure. Okay, Devin, takeaways, thoughts of the season so far for the Red Wings here.
I'm going to start off by saying that the Red Wings are on pace now halfway through the season for 40 wins and 90 points. And, you know, taken out of context, kind of in a vacuum, that's pretty good, right?
Hmm.
The Panthers had 42 wins, I believe, last season and 92 points. So they're, just short of the pace that the Panthers were on last season and when they snuck into the playoffs. In a vacuum, it's pretty good. Like, it was. I remember doing this show not too long ago, and we were excited about 30 wins. So, like, to now be at a point where, we're looking at 40 wins this season, and it's like a disappointment. It just kind of shows how far they've come. Just even just over the last year, really. But maybe that's kind of the problem, right? Is that with the talent that's on the roster now, you expect more. 90 points is good, but it's not. I'm with Evan. I don't know if it's playoff good. In fact, I would bet it's not. And even with that being said, I would say that I don't know how else to phrase this. I don't feel good about it. And the reason why I don't feel good about it is because most of the players that are making this happen for the Red Wings right now, Patrick Kane, Alex Lyon, even like Ben Sherratt, who's really kind of taken a step forward this season. These are guys that are not part of the core. These are guys that are gonna be around for 1, 2, 3 years tops. And then they're going to be gone. They're going to be either retired or in their mid 30s and not key performers for the Red Wings anymore. I mean, at least you'd hope so. I'd feel a lot better about where they are right now if it was their youngest players really propelling them forward. If Edvinsson was playing a key role, if Bergen was a top 6 forward, if Casper Mazer, I can go down the list. All these kids that we know are in Grand Rapids right now, if they were playing a key role in where the Red Wings are right now, you'd go, man, these guys are playing well and they're going to fall just short of the playoffs. That's really good. That's exciting. But to have all these veterans and all of these, these Patrick Kanes and whatnot, and they're still going to fall a little short, that's what makes it disappointing because they have a veteran clad roster that's built for the playoffs, and right now it's looks like they're going to fall short and end up selling at the deadline. So I'm I'm positive. I'm feeling positive about where they are because we do have to appreciate how far they've come, even just from last season. But how they got there and what the roster looks like to get them there, that's what gives me not so great feelings about it because it's not the players that you want to be responsible for it.
Mhm.
Well, I think the hot start gave us a lot of false hope, and
Absolutely,
we were ready for this team to roll, and now we've come back down to earth on my roller coaster, which I might just have to take out now for put a sandbox in there or something. But I also, as I was saying before in a minute here, if you look at these next 8 games, you got Los Angeles, Toronto, Florida, Carolina, Tampa Bay, Dallas, Philly, and Vegas.
Huge.
That's pretty much what you call murderers.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a tough stretch right here, and it's make or break time. So I'm not as optimistic about that.
That's a tough go. Lots of tough teams in that stretch for sure. This is going to be a big one. I think after this next big part of the schedule, this is where we're going to see where the Red Wings are, I think. I agree with both of you with all the stuff you've said. I mean, it's tough seeing, like, we were really excited at the beginning of the season. I mean, they looked like they were on track. There's been parts of the season where you're like, yes, this is a playoff team, but other points are like, they should be last. I mean, it's just, blowing leads, allowing 4+ goals a game, having to outscore your problems. It's just not a recipe for success. I mean, you can maybe sustain it for a week or two, but it's not sustainable. You have to play defense sometimes to win games. Unfortunately, you got to play some boring hockey sometimes, but that's how it goes. All right, off the rush, and this is gonna be a little bit different. I'm gonna see how you guys know the stats of the Red Wings without stuff in front of you. Now, I don't know if you guys have stats in front of you, but I'm just going on honor system. You guys don't have your stat page up looking at it. But I've got 5 questions, and these are all really quick. So first, and I'll just go back and forth. to start with you, Devin, who has more goals? JT Compher or Daniel Sprong?
Ooh.
They're only separated by one.
Okay. I'll go Spronger.
There you, Evan.
It's Sprung.
Sprong? Yeah, he's got 10.
Okay.
Compher's got 9. So there you go. Start with you, Evan, in this one. Who has more points? Moritz Seider or Shane Gostisbehere?
Gostisbehere.
Devin?
Yeah, it's probably power play points that puts him ahead. I'll say Ghost as well.
Yeah, he's got 28. So he leads the defense. Actually leads the defense in points too. All right, Devin, who has most assists on the team?
Larkin.
Evan?
It's gotta be Larkin.
Not Lucas Raymond.
Raymond. Wow.
Got 22.
Okay.
Got
Hey,
22
Okay, Razor.
All right. Start with you, Devin. Who has the most goals on defense?
Gostisbehere.
Evan?
Ghost Bear.
Jake Wallman. He's got 9.
Wow. Okay.
God.
He's got a lot of clutch ones
Maybe
too.
we shouldn't publish this episode, guys.
All right, final one. Evan, who has the highest shooting percentage on the team?
Oh, geez.
Oh man. That's why I don't let. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Joe Valeno.
Devin?
That's a good answer.
Could be Sprong too.
I'm gonna say, oh man. I'm gonna say Comfer.
No, Robbie Fabry. He's got 29%.
Okay.
29% shooting percentage. I'm like, whoa, that's high. He's got a lot of goals.
For sure. Feed that guy the puck. Holy cow.
I was told there would be no math today.
Well, the second half off the rush is a little bit. There's some other ones. I used NHL Edge for two of the answers. All right. Well, before we move on to the second half of the show, got to pay the bills and talk about our Substack here at the Hockey Writers. Lots of great stuff in a free version 3 times a week. You got the best articles of the Hockey Writers delivered to your inbox. Also got a paid version you can sign up for as well. It's access to the Red Wings premium content, game day previews, prospect updates, and a bunch of other stuff. You also get access to all the other teams on the Hockey Writers. We've also added a PWHL newsletter that you can get to. We're covering that league as they've just gotten started here. But lots of great stuff with the Substack, so check that out in the link below. Okay, our next section of the show, we're going to talk about some disappointing players, not just on the team right now, but just in the organization itself. So you could even pick a prospect if you want. Devin, I'll start with you. Who's disappointed you the most in the Red Wings organization to this point?
I'm going to even go beyond players. I'm actually going to point my finger at the coaching staff. I think that we talked about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. Honeymoon phase with Derek Lalonde, I think, is over. I think we're seeing a lot of the definition of stupidity or the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and thinking it's going to change. We saw that last season. We're seeing it again this season. And then even when things do change, they're maybe not for the better, or he tends to make unforced errors. Like now, not so much in recent memory, but like you'd have Alex Lyon have a really good game, and then you go to James Reimer the next game, and it's like you just throw Lyon back in there. He's riding him now, so that's good. But there's stuff like that where it's like you're rotating for no reason. Just play the goalie. And then like we've talked about, the defensive structure is just not there. I don't know what happened from last season to this season, where last season that was like the big thing that like was different about the team. Their defensive structure was so much better. They were able to limit chances, and they just looked, they weren't like a great defensive team by any means, but they were a very improved defensive team. And all that improvement's just gone now. And I don't understand what happened. I don't know if it's people aren't being held accountable. I don't know if it's a system thing. I don't know, but I'm not the one being paid to figure that out. And the person who is, people who are being paid to figure that out, haven't figured it out yet. So yeah, just a really disappointing product on the ice right now, just in terms of mistakes that you think that you would expect veterans that are on this team to not make, and
Mhm.
a lack of accountability and whatnot. And I think that goes back to the coaching staff. And maybe maybe this is a byproduct of hiring a new coach. You know, this is Lalonde's first head coaching job in the NHL. Maybe he's still figuring that aspect of it out. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. Maybe he needs better assistance. I don't know what the root of the problem is, but there is a problem, and boy, do they need to figure it out soon.
Yeah, it's a good one. Coaching, we had a whole episode on it, I think. Most of the episode we talked about that. Yeah, the coaching, it does go back to the coaching, because the players can only do as much what their system is and all that. That's why stuff changes when new coaches get put in, right? So yeah, well, we'll see if he can improve on that for the rest of the season, and hopefully into next season as well. Evan, what about you? Disappointment so far this season?
It's like a kid in a candy store. There's just so many to pick from. But I was glad that Devin didn't take my Andrew Kopp. I mean,
There you
this
go.
it's we're not seeing the same player, and part of me thinks that there's something wrong with those injuries he came off
Mhm.
of. He's not the same player we saw in Winnipeg. He is not what he expected to add as a depth center up and down the second and third lines. I just don't see it with him. It was good to see he finally scored yesterday, first time in 20 games. But
Mhm.
I mean that he wasn't really brought in for primary scoring anyway. But his two-way play has not been there this year. I think if Steve Eisenman could go back right now and take one contract back, it would be him. And I believe he signed still. He's had a 5-year deal, so he's year
Mhm.
two of his 5-year deal. So we're still looking at 3 more years of Andrew Copp. And at some point, this could end up out in a buyout, and that's not what he was brought in here for. And I think the organization, as well as Eisenman, as part of the organization, expected a lot more out of him, and it's frustrating to watch. It's frustrating to watch. There's some other candidates on there. I thought I'd see more. I thought I'd see. We all thought we'd see Rasmussen take a bigger step forward, and he's played a lot better this past month. He's actually the Red Wings, but he leads the Red Wings in plus minus, in case you didn't know. He's
That's a
he's
plus. Yeah.
94th overall in the league, and he's our top guy at plus minus. And while that's an inflated stat, it's still kind of concerning that the way the defense plays, we have one player in the top 94 or top 100, and it's Michael Rasmussen. So I did expect more out of him. I don't feel like I'm seeing that. And again, it's the inconsistent play. The hot start got us, all hot and bothered, and now it's, we're back to feels like we're back to where we started. But again, as Devin pointed out, it's a lot better to see better hockey than we've seen the past few seasons or past 7 seasons. And I think we're so impatient. We want more, and we want these prospects up and let's go, because it's been a while. And I think that's something that we need to sit back and reflect on, that, the team is taking a step forward. There is going to be help on the way, with Evanson and Casper developing and Mazer and even Bushelnikov. I mean, there's hope on the horizon. It's just not coming as fast as
Mhm.
Red Wings fans want it to. And that's
Yeah.
because, again, we're very impatient. We're used to, we had a great run, so much success over the past 3 decades. And now it's been a bit. And
Yeah.
frustration is taking its toll on some fans. So,
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I with both of you guys. I'm gonna go to the goaltending. I mean, Alex Lyon, like I said, has been good, but I was expecting Billy Husso to be a lot
Yeah.
better. I
Yeah.
he had such a great start to the season last season. Um, yeah, but yeah, he did tail off. But this season, I don't know if he's been good at all. I mean, he may have had a few games, but you'd expect him to be a bit better of a goaltender. Yeah, the defense doesn't help him out either, but you see some goalies be able to be fine with that and showcase their talent, but he just has struggled quite a bit. And then you go beyond that to to the rest of the goaltending. I mean, yeah, Lyon is good now, but yes, he should have been given the opportunity a lot sooner. But would he have been better? I don't know. I think the defense really lets those goalies down too. So it just extends from there. The defense has disappointed me too. I thought with all those veterans being added, you'd think the defense would have been better, but it just hasn't been. So, I mean, it goes just the same thing with you said, Devin. You'd think it'd be a lot better this season with the additions that they made with the veterans, but it just hasn't come together, unfortunately. So, they are in a playoff area, but you'd hope
if you had told me before the season started that Alex Lyon would be our starter and we'd be in a playoff contention spot, I'd said no.
Yeah. Right.
If you told me that, I'd said yeah, not possible, and I'd be looking to order my Macklin Celebrini jersey for next season. But here we are.
Here we are. Yeah. All right. Well, on a note of defense, we're going to talk about their best defender, and that's Moritz Seider. He's been a hot topic lately, and it's been his usage. He is their top defenseman. He does play a lot, and he does get a lot of those tough matchups every game. Evan, should that change? I mean, the thing is yes, he's their best defender talent-wise, two-way guy, but should he be used in that position of being able to go against the best all the time, right?
Well, real quick, I don't know if you guys can see, there's my Moritz Seider stickers on my fridge. That's just his face. I'll move this way. Yeah, there they are.
I was wondering
there you go. I had to show you guys that because no one knows who it is when they come over to my house out here in LA. As far as Seider, he played a great game last night against Edmonton. The problem is you need more help.
Yeah.
So Seider is someone I think is going to be a guy who's going to play heavy minutes. He is going to be he's a number one defenseman on our team. He's a great puck mover. I love everything about the kid. He is my favorite player. And if anybody ever wants to rob me, my password is some combination of Seiders with 10 other different letters. But, he's going to take big minutes, but he's also still young. He's also still young and growing. And so I wouldn't say he regressed this year. He's playing good hockey, but again, one guy can't solve all the problems on this team. So, but he's a great player.
Yeah. I mean, Seider is the least of the Red Wings problems, I think. He's a +1 this season. His first time, he was a minus in his first 2 seasons. I mean, yes, the plus-minus stats a bit flawed, but he was a -11 last season, -9 in his rookie season. He's a +1. So, I mean, yeah. I don't know if you want to take that, but Devin, what do you think? About his usage? I looked at the stats of he's being deployed in the defensive zone a lot more this season, percentage wise. I don't know if that's a good thing, but what would you do with Seider? Would you change how he's being used?
2 things real quick. 1, Evan loved the Gulls hoodie. Very nice. 2, yes, we love bird teams on this podcast. And then 2, that +1 is what I would say is what I would consider a good plus-minus stat, because when you consider the context of how he's used and how much he's used, who he's used against. I mean, even last night he was primarily tasked with shutting down the McDavid line. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
And he's still a +1. That's a pretty good stat. Obviously, I'd like it to be higher, but all that factored in, and he's still a plus player. That's pretty good. Like you guys both said, for better or for worse, I don't know if they can do anything other than what they're doing, because Seider's the best defenseman and it's not really close. They have some other good defensemen, but not any that can take that from Seider, basically. If there's any player on this team that really needs the Edvinsons, the Sending Pelikas, the Johanssons, so on and so forth, to take over this team and start playing meaningful roles, it's Seider. Just so that way they can take some of that load off of his back. But as it is, and as this team's constructed, as their veteran blue line with all the limitations that they have, Seider's the young guy. He's the guy who can handle all the minutes in the world. He's the two-way defender. Only going to get better, and he's proven he can handle the workload. I don't know if it's necessary. In a perfect world, you'd have another shutdown guy with him just to ease that load. Because I do worry that maybe he's being given a little too much. Remember, he's still only 22, 23. He's not, even though he plays like it, he's not 28 years old. He's still in a phase of his career where he's developing. He's still learning. You can still damage a player by giving them too much at this point in their career, but it is what it is. Like I said, they don't have anybody that can take that from Seider, so they have to lean on him. Hopefully, over the next calendar year, a player like Edvinson's able to climb up the depth chart and take some of that from him. But until then, here we are, and we just got to hope that Seider's able to keep his head above water and remain in that plus category, because that, to me, says he's doing a pretty good job, all things considered.
There's a minus
he's
one.
Got a big deal too.
Yeah,
he's got a big deal to sign this year too.
That's right.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he was a -1 against the Oilers. In 25 minutes of ice time, so 5 blocked shots in that game too. He needs his Devon Taves or Phil.
Yes.
Can you imagine if we had taken Quinn Hughes instead of Zadina and have just a puck moving defenseman? Those two would be never mind.
I say about Phil Hronek. As Quinn Hughes has his guy there.
Guess who leads NHL in plus minus? Guess who leads NHL in plus minus?
Quinn Hughes.
Philip Hronek.
Hronek and Hughes are right there.
They're tied.
They're tied
at 32.
So they each get a plus every time.
There's a
section of Hronek this whole time.
There's a section of Red Wings fans out there that just pulled their hair out when they heard that. There's no way Hronek is leading.
Yeah. That's what I did. That's why I'm wearing a hat today, because I did. And I looked at the stats today. Because I told you I was bringing some numbers today, and I'm bald now.
All right. Well, speaking of numbers, I got to finish off our show with my second half off the rush, and I've got some more numbers, guys. We'll start with who leads the team in penalty minutes. Devin, I'll start with you.
This is probably really obvious, and I'm just missing it.
Yeah, like the Raymond was too, and I just missed it.
I'm gonna say Perron.
Evan?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with this.
It's David Perron. He's got 35. He's got 35 penalty minutes.
Yep.
And probably because of all the ones on that Ottawa
that leads the team.
That's crazy.
It leads the team.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Not many penalty minutes actually. They don't have a lot.
But that also says that we need some more toughness. This team definitely needs it.
Yeah, I was surprised at the 30.
All right, what do you got next?
All right, next, and we'll go off penalty minutes to hits. Evan, who has more hits, Ben Sherratt or Moritz Seider? They're separated by 1 hit.
I'm gonna go with Seider too.
It's Sherratt by 1 hit.
Oh my God.
74. 74 to 73.
Okay.
I'm gonna be editing this out all night.
All right. Going to the advanced stats in this next one. Devin, who leads the team in Corsi, for percentage at even strength.
Patrick Kane.
Evan?
Does he qualify?
He does. Well, I don't know if he really does, but I just went by what Hockey Reference says is the highest Corsi for.
I'm gonna say Lucas Raymond.
Alex DeBrincat, 50.7.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, into the NHL.
Really know our stuff here at the Hockey Writers.
NHL Edge now, and these are 2 ones. Now, Devin, who has the highest recorded shot speed this season?
Jake Wallman.
Jake Wallman.
It's Jeff Petrie.
Oh my God.
101.29 miles per hour.
Okay, Jeff, I see you.
Probably the only time he did it this.
Probably.
And final one.
That radar gun was rigged.
Yeah. Right. Well, Hronek had a a crazy 113, and they dropped it
he's
down.
Hronik has
Wallman's
clapper.
consistently hit at 95 plus. So
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
was ready to bet money was Wallman.
yeah, me too.
All right, last question. It's on skating speed. Who has the highest recorded top skating speed this season? I'll start with you, Evan, on this one.
It's got to be Larkin, right? Who's
Yeah,
faster?
logic would tell you it's Larkin, right? I'm trying to think of who else could even like compete.
Maybe Fabry? No.
Yeah, maybe Fabry, maybe Veleno.
Oh, there you go.
You know what? Yeah, we'll split the difference here. Evans at Larkin. I'll say Veleno.
You're right, Joe Veleno, 23.20.
Hey, all right. We got one of them.
Got one.
I
wouldn't.
would have switched my answer had I been offered.
Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah, so that was fun. All right. Well, there's another episode of the Grind Line. We'll see what the rest of the season holds. I mean, Red Wings are in the playoff mix, and we'll talk more about it as we go. But make sure to check out all of our articles, thehockeywriters.com, and check out the Substack. And thanks, Devin and Evan, for joining the show again. But until next time, we'll see you on another episode of the Grind Line.
Don't forget to hip gods. Hip gods,
Yes,
people.
yes. We'll see you next week.